Today on the Learn podcast, we have Dave Pinero. Welcome to the channel.
Thanks for having me.
Dave Pinero is author of the fictional book, The Birth of the Antichrist, The Manifestation of Evil, Part 1. And, even though it's fiction, your book is actually very timely because it's based on biblical prophecies that are currently coming to pass as we speak. Because we're getting closer to the end times. And you say that it's the reason that inspired you to write your book. So before we get into what your book is about, why don't you tell us more about the inspiration behind it?
The inspiration behind it, I would have to say it began during COVID. We've always had diseases and plagues, but I've never witnessed it happening on a global scale where it shut down every country on the planet. And I remember in St. Matthew's chapter 24, verse 6, Jesus said you hear of plagues and pestilences and stuff like that. But I didn't realize he was talking on a global scale. Everything that's happening now and going to happen is going to be global. So, and plus with the wars and rumors of wars and perversion and all kinds of crazy stuff is what promoted me to really do this, because I realized we're getting close to Jesus' return.
Definitely. We were hearing news about, the temple being built, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, biblical prophecy is happening right before our very own eyes. They were talking about all of that. Now, as I looked at your book, there was a reader who left a review, and they said that they could not put the book down. And when I read it, I was like, they couldn't be more right, because it's such an intriguing book that just keeps you it keeps your attention. And I want you to tell us what your book's about.
Yeah, The Birth of the Antichrist, it deals with the origin of, basically dealing with the birth of the Antichrist, where he's coming from. And it really takes place in Turkey. And unfortunately, it deals with a young lady. And it's kind of tragic because she comes from a religious background. She was also opened up to the spiritual realm, the wrong type of spiritual world. And unfortunately, she's going to be the mother and the carrier of, the Antichrist, the beast. And it's really deals with a lot of situations and circumstances and various crises that's going to eventually lead to his birth.
Yeah, we've had books that have been popularized over the years strictly about the end times, like Left Behind, which is such a fantastic series if you haven't read it. This book is a lot like it if you have read it, so I would highly recommend it. And typically we always hear about the Antichrist himself, but your book is so different because it talks about what it's like giving birth to the Antichrist, the mother, and I would highly recommend it because it gives you a new perspective, one that we don't often get. And I'm curious because, there had to have been a book that actually inspired you to become an author yourself. So I want to know, which one was it?
I would have to say it might have been Tom Clancy when he did like a book on Air Force. Tom Clancy do a lot of military and geopolitical stuff. I don't know if you ever read his books, but I would have to say he might have been the one that really triggered it in me to really become an author, because I read a lot of his book. Even though it's not Christian based or stuff like that, I just love geopolitics and economy and anything like that. So what I did, in light of what's happening in the world and also with scriptures and some of what Tom Clancy has done, I tried to weave it into one, a little intrigue and stuff like that.
You guys, if you've already read the first book, like I have, you'll know that this book is part of a series. There's actually a sequel coming up. So how is that writing coming along for it?
It's coming along pretty good. And I can let your audience know the first book is going to deal with his birth and the circumstances leading up to it. The second book is going to deal with his upbringing. And it's going to bring some more characters. The Antichrist's father, his name is Hassan. He came from a line of wealthy people. But he didn't realize that the line that he came from and how he maintained all that wealth is because their ancestors had made a pact with the devil. He wasn't aware of that. For 800 years, through wars and through whatever economic downturns, they managed to maintain their wealth while everybody crumbled. But, when you make a deal with the devil, he always wants something back in return. And they didn't realize that thing that he wanted back in return is a vessel for him to come into the world. But the third book is going to deal with him coming into his destiny.
Wow. Guys, I think we just got a sneak peek into the sequel, so thanks for sharing that with us. Well, I recently had a guest author come on the channel and he talked about defeating the spirit of the Antichrist. And while we're on this topic
Right.
of the Antichrist, because I feel like he's going to be such like a big part of the sequel, the second book. So why don't you tell us what are some characteristics that we should be looking out for, because he's coming. In reality, he's going to show up eventually. So why don't you tell us what we should be looking out for in this guy who's, you know, the Antichrist?
Well, one of the things you're going to notice about him is, number one, he's not going to be ugly. We're going to just get that out there. His everything about him, because you remember the devil was a beautiful angel before he got kicked out of heaven. I mean, his whole covering was diamonds and gold and so forth. But when the Antichrist come on the scene, he's going to be everything the world's been looking for. He's going to have the looks. He's going to have the charisma. He's going to be what we call the total package. But the thing about the Antichrist, there's going to be evil that's going to permeate around him. I mean, you can already feel now that. Now, I'm not saying that he's here, but believe me, when he do come on the scene, you will know it. The people around him will know it, and the world will know it when he comes on the scene, when he eventually arrives. And when we deal about the Antichrist, I think it's very important I say this. You got the Antichrist himself, but then you got the spirit of Antichrist. Now, the spirit of Antichrist has been here since all the way back to the Garden of Eden. And it's been here through the centuries and through the millennials. I mean, and you could see his rise through, various wicked men throughout history with Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great, the Roman Caesars, Antiochus Epiphanes, you name it, Adolf Hitler, Napoleon Bonaparte, Osama bin Laden. I mean, the list go on and on. And these men just came out there. I mean, they was actually like vessels for the spirit of Antichrist. And if you notice, the more the Antichrist comes out, or that spirit comes on the scene, it's getting more stronger, it's getting more evil, and eventually it's going to just materialize itself or embed itself in a particular individual that the scriptures refer to as the Antichrist. But in the book, their parents are going to know there's something off about him. I mean, the way he acts, his bizarre behavior, his ability to know things. I mean, he has such a high IQ, but the problem is the knowledge that he has is Lucifer's knowledge. You see what I'm saying? Because they don't realize that the Antichrist is actually the vessel for Satan. And I'm also going to, in the second book, I didn't have it in the first book, it's going to deal with the false prophet. He's going to be in there as well.
Mm-hmm. If you haven't already gathered, this book is for people who love fiction, who love the supernatural, who love a little bit of fantasy in there. But honestly, guys, it's based on reality and biblical prophecy. So if you like the Chronicles of Narnia, if you like Left Behind, this is the book for you. So Dave, where can readers get a copy of your book?
On Amazon.
Amazon. Guys, those details are going to be linked in the description box below. I want to thank you for your time. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. This has been the Learn Podcast.